All right. Whatever happened to the rabbi? When he showed up in our investigation, you may remember that at some point I confronted him with some very graphic pictures that he sent to somebody he thought was a young teenage boy. And he lunged at me, and there was that famous scene where Ronnie Knight, my security guy, came out to stand between us. And I honestly, I don't think he was going to be violent with me. I think he was, in his mind at that moment, he was embarrassed by the photo that I presented him, and I think he was going to grab it and leave. He wasn't going to hit me, he wasn't going to hurt me, or anything like that. So as we continue production of that second episode, we contacted him and said, listen, if you want to tell more of your story or sit down, I'm willing to do that. And this guy used to call my producer, Lynn Keller, and virtually berate her on the phone on a regular basis. And his conditions were unacceptable. He wanted to sit down, not show his identity. And the condition for doing the interview was that we would not use the footage we had of the confrontation inside the house in Fairfax County, Virginia. So we weren't going to do it. And so we're back and forth. And it came down to the week that this show was going to air. And it was going to air on a Friday night. And there was a fair amount of buzz about it at the time. And we contacted the rabbi again. We said, and he worked for this organization in Washington, D.C., which introduced Jewish students around the country to, Israeli politics, affairs, and interests in Washington, D.C. Great group. And no indication, by the way, whatsoever that he acted inappropriately with any of the students that came through that program. None whatsoever. And I had very extensive and honest conversations with the lawyer representing the group. The only issue was that there might have been some questionable pictures on a computer that he shared with the organization. So we meet at the Ritz-Carlton in Georgetown, and I'm there with the crew, and they're set up in a room with cameras and the whole thing, and I'm there with Ronnie Knight, my security guy. And David Kay, the rabbi, comes walking in with a soft briefcase full with I don't know what. He's clutching it, and he orders me to sit down. We're in the lobby of the hotel. And I sit down, I look at him and said, "These are the conditions that you will need. You will not say who I am precisely, and you will not show the video in the house." I said, "Rabbi, we've been through this before. It's not going to happen." And he grabbed his stuff and took off, and I never saw him again. So after that episode aired, and it was quite some time, it was months at least, he was arrested by the FBI, charged with solicitation of a minor. They went to court, federal court, and instead of getting a jury, they went for a bench trial in front of the judge. The judge found him guilty, and when it came time for sentencing, found that the rabbi had lied on the stand and departed from the guidelines and gave him 6.5 years. So he served that amount of time minus whatever it is, 51 or 52 days a year you get for good time under the federal law these days. And he's out. And I read something, I guess about a year or so ago, that he was, reformed and trying to join a synagogue. And there was some controversy over that. But I'm not sure exactly what he's up to, but I know he's up